everyone and welcome back to another video. It is morning here in rainy, wintry Adelaide. It's a very rainy, cozy day today and I thought it would be nice to go out and do some reading, maybe go to a couple cafes. I want to go to the library today because there's a book I want to get for some research stuff. If you can hear little Miss Mabel playing at my feet, she's throwing around a treat. It's like a long chew treat that she likes to just throw about the place. Mabel, you want to say hello? Little Miss. So basically the plan for this morning is that I need to feed Miss Mabel, do our training, take her for a little walk if the weather holds out. If not, I'm sure Tyler will do that a little bit later. But yeah, let's get our morning chores done. I need to finish getting ready. I need to get some breakfast myself. I've been eating a lot of protein oats recently. So essentially just oats, banana, a little bit of protein powder in there and then baked. It was bucketing with rain like 10 minutes ago. So if it's not like, if it's a little bit of rain, it's fine. But if it's like bucketing down, I don't have the heart to take out this one in that kind of weather. We need to get you a little raincoat. We need to get some stuff done and then I can go pick out the books that I'm going to be reading today. I'm very excited. It's been ages since I've just had a day to just go chill and do some reading. I'll talk to you about my reading. I'll talk to you about my favorite books and least favorite books I've read so far this year. That is the general plan for this vlog. Come on, Mabel. Okay, Mabel, wait up. Roll over. Sit. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Well done. Looking at the camera. She knows exactly what's going on. Alright, Mabel, down. Yes, good girl. Good girl. High five. Yes, good girl. Well done. Come with me. Come with me. Okay, Mabel. Middle. Yes, good girl. Ready? Bring it back. Bring back the ball. No, I need the ball. Fetch. Go fetch. Ah. This is a very gloomy shop, but here we are. I'm going to pick out some books that I want to bring with me today. So currently from the library, I have this book, which I have for a little bit longer. It's a research book for Spiegel 10 and it is called Bohemian Paris, Culture, Politics and the Boundaries of the Bourgeoisie Life 1830 to 1930. So this is quite a dense history book. It came to the university library in 1999. I read this other book called The Circus, A Semiotic Approach. It's still too early in the morning for me to be using my brain properly, but I really liked that one. That was good. Read a lot of really good and interesting art books for Project Spiegel 10. That's the arty novel I'm currently writing. Oh, I should probably plug my novel, which is coming out next year. So if you haven't heard the news, hello, my debut novel, Theodora's Tea Shop, is going to be coming out in July 2026. It is now available for pre-order. You can add it on Goodreads, you can add it on Storygraph. It is an atmospheric 1920s inspired fantasy story about two women, one of whom wants to learn magic and the other is this bold, vivacious, charming witch who has many different identities and she works in a tea shop and it's called Theodora's Tea Shop and it's going to come out in July 2026. But anyway, I'm working on my next novel, which is an arty gothic epistolary novel, and this is one of my research books. I also want to get today a novel which is not a novel. I want to get another book which is a history book, which is for a different kind of research thing that I'm going to talk about in a later video, but it's something I'm really excited about, so that's going to be really cool. But today I'm going to stop myself from going to the bookshop. I'm going to pick some books off of my shelf because I have a lot of books that I need to read. I think I would like to read this book, which is called The Forest Brims Over by Maru Ayase, translated from the Japanese by Hayden Trowell, which I got during my last trip to Tokyo. It's about a writer and his wife. The writer uses his wife as basically a muse for his writing. It seems like there's going to be a lot of creepy forest imagery. I'm not 100% sure on this one. I've read the first page and the voice so far is pretty cool. So I'm going to bring this one with me. What else do I feel like reading? So over here I've got all of my non-fiction books and I have a lot of really cool ones. History of Magic by Chris Guston, The Age of Wonder by Richard Holmes. These two books I want to read pretty soon. I've got a book on witches, but I am probably going to go to the library and get that history book today. Fingers crossed. I checked yesterday. They had it on the shelf. I also have the ebook for The Will of the Many by someone Islington. James Islington? which I've heard absolutely amazing things about. Now, James Islington is an Australian speculative writer, which makes me want to read that book even more because it's just nice to see other fantasy writers from Australia thriving, because that book is doing really, really well. Ooh, do I bring a backup book? I think I'm okay with just bringing The Forest Brims Over, and then I can read The Will of the Many on my phone, and also I'm going to be going to the library. So I think 3 books to pick from is enough that I've got the ability to choose what I feel like, but not so much that I'm going to get overwhelmed. Okay, I'm going to grab my stuff. I'm going to get going. We're going to head to maybe Exchange. I think that's my favorite place to grab coffee at the moment. So I'm probably going to go there and we're going to hop around, go to some places. I think the rain is chilling out, so I need to grab my umbrella, but let's go. We can go do some reading. Before I say anything else, can I please draw attention to how beautiful this book cover is? This was handmade for me by a friend named Marina. They gave it to me for my birthday, and it's the most beautiful little book cover. I use it all the time and it's gorgeous. I decided to go to Exchange to begin with. This is a wonderful coffee spot in Adelaide. It's the main coffee spot that gets recommended. It was on this list of the world's best coffee. I don't know. It's really, really good, and I love coming here to work. I decided to start off my reading day by picking up The Forest Brims Over by Maru Ayase. I didn't know anything about this book before I picked it up in a bookshop in Tokyo. I just thought the blurb sounded really interesting. I read the first page. I thought it was really, really beautiful. And immediately I was sucked straight into the story. We open up with this scene of an editor speaking to a writer, and the writer's wife is at this dinner table, and for some reason she's eating these nuts, and the nuts turn out to be seeds. And the writer says that his wife ate them to get back at him, and we quickly get into the story, and it's got this beautiful, suspenseful voice and just tension that pulls you through from the very beginning. I was immediately gripped by this story, and I thought it was so good. If I didn't want to go to a couple different places today, I probably could have just stayed there for ages, because immediately this book really, really sucked me in. I love going to this particular cafe because it has a really lovely vibe. The staff are really wonderful. It has the best coffee in Adelaide, in my opinion. I come here to do a lot of writing. It's a beautiful place to work, which brings me actually to a tool that is wonderful for writers and people who work outside the house, which is Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network that safeguards your data and privacy online. It's an incredibly helpful tool if you often find yourself working outside the house, at cafes, while traveling and using public Wi-Fi. Surfshark is a tool that encrypts your data and keeps you safe. It allows you to change your IP address to almost any country. This means that when you're traveling, you can still access content from your home region, or when you're at home, you can access content from many different countries, because Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries. With Surfshark Antivirus, you can also shield your devices from viruses, malware, and the tracking of ad companies. It also gives you real-time notifications if your files or apps are malicious, and also stops unwanted apps from using your webcam. So Surfshark is a wonderful tool for writers, creatives, or anyone who does a lot of work or stuff online. Feel free to check out Surfshark by clicking the link in the description down below. You can use my code ChristyAnnJones to get an extra 4 months for free. And also, if you don't love Surfshark, it's no stress at all, because they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, somehow I pulled myself away from going back to The Forest Brims Over, even though I was really, really hooked on that story to begin with, because with changing cafes, I wanted to change books. I wanted to read a little bit of Lord Dunsany's The King of Elfland's Daughter, which is just this beautiful pre-Tolkienian fantasy story. It's very lush. The imagery is gorgeous. It has quite a similar vibe to Lud and the Mist by Hope Mirrlees, which I read a couple years ago, which I also loved. I ended up going to Hey Jupiter for this part of the reading vlog. This cafe is a French cafe. It's right next to Exchange. They're honestly almost on the same road. The food is really good. I got there just a tiny bit too early to get the lunch food, so I ended up ordering this breakfast sandwich, and I did my best because I was going to try and eat it with a knife and fork to stop my hands from getting greasy, because I didn't want to get grease on my book. But yeah, no, I gave up on that pretty quickly because the sandwich started falling apart, and I just ate it like a normal person, just with my hands, and then I went back to my book. I also ordered the Turkish apple tea, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. I loved the vibe in here. I was almost the only person in here. Now, this cafe is often absolutely packed with people, which means that I don't tend to go there very much, because when I'm writing or when I'm reading, I want to take up a little bit of time and I don't want to use up a table for too long. But this was just empty today because it was a winter's day and it was a little bit early. It wasn't quite lunchtime when I ended up going, and it was a beautiful vibe. I loved reading the first few chapters of The King of Elfland's Daughter. I've read the first few chapters before. maybe 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, something like that. And so I'm trying to ease myself back into the story. It's a bit more of a slower voice, especially compared to something like When the Forest Brims Over, because that, as I said, has a very suspenseful contemporary voice. And I'm pretty sure, even though the prose feel a lot slower to read, that I actually managed to read like somewhere between 40 and 50 pages in Hey Jupiter today. So I had a beautiful time breezing through this book as well. Very cozy, very wintry and windy outside. And finally, I finished up having read about 100 pages between the two novels. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully the wind isn't, and general other noises aren't too bad. I think today is a testament to the fact that I do need to keep filming reading vlogs because I have loved both books so far. So basically I've read about 50 pages of each. And I remember the last time I filmed a vlog with 2 books in it, it was Her Wives Under the Sea and Orbital, and I loved those both. And similarly, I'm loving both of these books. So having a great reading day so far. That Biscoff cookie was a 10 out of 10. Hey Jupiter was amazing as well. Essentially, I'll probably fill you guys in with a voiceover of what I've thought of the book so far, but basically I've already read part of The King of Elfland's Daughter before, but it was, I think, last year, so it's a little bit fuzzy. I kind of want to go back and get all the notes I've written on Kindle and rewrite those into my physical copy. It's such a beautiful book, beautiful 1920s fairy tale-esque fantasy story, just absolutely gorgeous prose. And then, oh my god, for The Forest Brims Over, it is a really fun, kind of suspenseful in a suburban Tokyo, but forest imagery. I love so far that there are themes of these 2 men's wives being neglected. I love the way that's done so far. I'm really enjoying the characters. Really fun to read. So I think I've read almost 100 pages so far today, maybe like 90 pages. Anyway, I'm hanging around the kind of eastern part of the city. I am not very far from the library, so I might quickly go for a walk through the gardens. Let's see if I can be bothered doing a small detour through that way, and head to the library and grab the book that I wanted to borrow. And then we headed off to our final location for this reading vlog. I love the winter here. Adelaide gets so warm during the summertime that when it's rainy, when it's windy, when it's cold, it just brings me a lot of joy. I was surprised to see a few blossoms subtly blooming in the gardens. I ended up heading over to the Adelaide University Library, and actually the history section of this library is in the pretty reading room, so I headed in there, grabbed the book. I only read it quite shallowly because I knew I was going to sit down and properly, thoroughly read it with my open Word document, typing out notes, summarizing everything. This is the way I do research. I zero in on the things I find quite interesting, and obviously it's a textbook, I can't highlight it, so I will actually type out the quotes and reference everything even if I don't know I'm going to use it. I love doing research. I would go back and finish my master's degree in a heartbeat if I could. So yeah, I had a really lovely day, managed to read about 100 pages between The Forest Brims Over and The King of Elfland's Daughter, and then I think I read maybe 10 to 15 pages of the textbook that I borrowed as well. So overall, very, very successful, cozy reading day. As I said, I'll fill you guys in on my research endeavors moving forward for the rest of this year. I'm having a lot of fun with my reading. Now that Theodora's Tea Shop is all announced, I feel like all of this pressure has just been taken off of me, and I all of a sudden have all of this space in my brain that has opened up for making videos and reading books, and all this pressure feels like it's been taken off, which is just beautiful. But anyway, had a really lovely reading day, and it was lovely to bring you guys along and film some of it. Hello everyone, we've had a little bit of a time skip. So essentially what happened is I came home, got distracted by some stuff, made some tea, sat down, read a chunk of this, we had dinner, came back and just devoured the rest of this. I've now finished The Forest Brims Over by Maru Ayase, translated from the Japanese by Hayden Trowell, and oh my god, I really enjoyed this. So I think the last bit of the last chapter fell down just a touch. I think it just belabored the themes of the story a little bit too much. There was a little bit too much exposition, but aside from that, the whole story I really enjoyed. I loved the magical realism elements. I loved the themes of gender in this book. I loved the forest imagery. I loved how there was this just kind of suspense the whole way through the novel. Like I was the entire time just a little bit worried, like how dark is this gonna go? Like what's gonna happen in this story? There's this kind of genre that I'm really loving at the moment, which is just speculative novels that are a little bit literary leaning that are just a bit weird. Our Wives Under the Sea, Strange Beasts of China, which is my favorite book I read last year. These kinds of novels that are a little bit shorter and just speculative and strange, and they are these beautiful little magic tricks. So I really should make a recommendation video at some point of these shorter literary speculative novels that I'm just really loving at the moment. But yeah, really enjoyed this. Basically themes of the writer and his muse, the way this man uses up his wife and the women's position in society, and each chapter in the story is told from a different perspective, and it's just beautifully done. I really enjoyed it. And also really quickly, I wanted to come in here for this vlog and tell you guys some of my favorite books I've read so far in 2025. Now, I've not read enough books, I think, to make an entire video out of this, because so many of the books I've read this year have just been research books. Like, it's not been a really indicative year, but essentially my favorite books that I've read so far in 2025, I really liked Ministry of Time. I thought it was really fun. It wasn't a 5-star book for me. Like, I had some moments where I kind of felt like the pacing was a little bit off. I kind of felt like I wanted more from the world building, but overall I thought it was a fun book. Stoner was so beautiful. This story is kind of a forgotten classic. Essentially, it's about this man who grew up on a farm. His origins are very working class, and he ends up discovering a love for reading. He goes to college, and it kind of follows the entire journey of his life in all of its little tragedies, and it's just a very slow and thoughtful novel, but it's beautifully done. I really enjoyed it. Stoner is his last name. It doesn't have any like drug themes in it. I really loved The Unknown Masterpiece by Honoré de Balzac, although I think technically you'd probably class that as a short story, but I've got it here under books. I enjoyed the first part of So I think Tyler's playing with Mabel out there. So if you hear any noises, it's just the two of them playing. I really enjoyed the first part of Sea Green, which I read towards the start of this year, which was written in the 1970s. It's written by an Adelaide author. I wanted to read it because it was set in Adelaide, and those were the best parts of that story, but it really fell down towards the end. Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood, I loved. It was a Künstlerroman, which is a artist's coming of age story, which is why I read it. Themes of girlhood, female friendship, a lot of bits of that story with the female friendships being dysfunctional. Like, it was quite upsetting to read. Like, I think if you, I don't know, had challenges when you were a kid with friends and making friends, it's they're doing something out there. Oh, be careful. What are you doing? So basically, it was this one throwing around this peanut butter scented bone. What are you doing? What you doing, darling? Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which was a beautiful atmospheric fantasy novel, and also Record of a Night Too Brief by Hiromi Kawakami. I've read a few of her other stories before, Nakano Thrift Shop, and also, what was the other one? Strange Weather in Tokyo. She's a really beautiful writer, and I like those stories, but I liked Record of a Night Too Brief so much more. It was a short story collection which had 3 different speculative short stories in it, and the first one is really strange, and it kind of just feels like a fever dream, and it's this woman going through this, there's like a market, a woman who shrinks down to the size of like a thimble, and it's just so strange and kind of Spirited Away-esque and just beautifully weird. So I really liked that one. That's essentially my summary of my favorite books I've read so far in 2025. I keep feeling like I've had such a bad reading year, but I've just been so focused on Spiegeltent. I've been so focused on writing stuff, research, making sure that I'm sorry, one second. Neighbor. Keep on, miss. Where are you going, darling? She's so close to getting her first haircut. We need to book her in. I've read 31 books so far this year, so I'm actually not that far off of what I tend to read, around 60 books a year. I have just felt that I've been having a slow reading year. I think because I've had so many research books as opposed to the normal number of novels that I end up reading. But anyway, those are all of my ramblings done. I just wanted to give you guys an update on how my reading has been going and share that at the end of this reading vlog. It's been a beautiful, cozy day, very rainy, very lovely. Mabel has clearly had a lovely day. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more reading vlogs, please let me know. Please let me know if there are any specific books you want to see a deep dive of. It's been a while since I've just picked one book to have a really, really big deep dive on for one reading vlog, so I think I'd like to do that soon. I'll be back with a Spiegel Tent vlog really, really soon. Thank you guys so much for being here, and also a massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon for supporting my channel. Over on Patreon we have a whole bunch of lovely bonus content, bonus videos, our book club, we have a private Discord server, we have so many things over on Patreon, so if you want to check it out, please. What are you doing? We have a private Discord server, we have so many things over on Patreon, so if you'd like to check that out, there's a link in the description down below. Please also feel free to pre-order my debut novel, Theodora's Tea Shop, or add it on Goodreads or Storygraph. Take care everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.